Welcome to all from Rise EduTech platform, JEE and NEET. Myself, Santoshi Krishna, Senior Chemistry Faculty. So in this session, I am here to discuss about the explanations of the questions which you have attempted in the last mock test conducted on 7th Feb 2021 by Rise. Also, we will discuss about the detailed analysis of each and every question. The major product P of the given reaction is the question is. So here you can see a carboxylic acid is there, and the reagent we are having red phosphorus in presence of bromine, and it is hydrolyzing the reaction in presence of water. So he is asking about what is the major product. So this question is from aldehydes, ketones and carboxylic acid of the class 12 chapter, and it is a very important topic. So here so carboxylic acid on reaction with bromine in presence of red phosphorus, it is nothing but a named reaction, and the name of the reaction is HVZ reaction, or we also called as Hell-Volhard-Zelinsky reaction. So in Hell-Volhard-Zelinsky reaction, what happens? Bromine will react with phosphorus, so bromine plus phosphorus forming PBr3 or phosphorus tribromide. So this phosphorus tribromide will react with the carboxylic acid, nothing but our butanoic acid. So here what happens? So if you take the butanoic acid CH3, CH2, CH2, COOH will react with phosphorus tribromide to form CH3, CH2, CH2, C double bond O Br. So this is our compound. So this one will react with the water molecule H2O to form CH3, CH2, CHBr, COOH. Means nothing but here what happens, rearrangement will take place and the bromine atom will attack on the alpha carbon. So alpha carbon is nothing but the carbon which is attached to the functional group. So this is our alpha carbon. So the bromine will attack on the alpha carbon, undergoes rearrangement in presence of water to form our alpha bromobutanoic acid. So in the given option which is having the alpha bromobutanoic acid, nothing but it is the third option. So our answer is third one. Okay, so moving on to the next question. So here, for the reaction AB gives rise to A plus B. AB is 33% dissociated at a total pressure of P. So he is asking what is the correct option here. So first of all, what is the reaction? AB gives rise to A plus B. So suppose initially the number of moles of AB is 1, of A is 0 and the number of moles of B is 0. So at equilibrium, already he has given that 33% dissociation is taking place, means we can write at equilibrium 1 minus 1 by 3, 1 by 3, and this one is 1 by 3 forming. So here we can write this is 2 by 3, 1 by 3 and 1 by 3. So at equilibrium the number of moles of AB and A and B are, it is 2 by 3, this is 1 by 3 and this is 1 by 3. So total number of moles, what is the total number of moles? How can we write? So total number of moles is equals to 2 by 3 plus 1 by 3 plus 1 by 3, nothing but we can write this one as 4 by 3. So we know that the partial pressure is equals to total pressure into mole fraction. So what is the mole fraction of AB now? So the mole fraction of AB is equals to number of moles of AB by total number of moles. So 4 by nothing but we can write this one as 1 by 2, and the number of moles of A is equals to 1 by 3 by 4 by 3, that is equals to 1 by 4, and the number of moles of B is equals to 1 by 3 by 4 by 3, that is same is equals to 1 by 4. So from this equation, how can we write Kp? The Kp of the reaction is equals to, Kp is equals to partial pressure of A into partial pressure of B by partial pressure of AB. So we can write the partial pressure of A is nothing but total pressure is already given in the question Total pressure he has given as P. So we can write the partial pressure of PA is equals to P by 4, and the partial pressure of PB is equals to P by 4, and the partial pressure of AB is equals to P by 2. So that is equals to, so Kp is equals to nothing but we can write as P by 8. So from this we can find that P is equals to 8 Kp. So in the given option, you can see that the fourth option is P is equals to 8 Kp. So our answer is P is equals to 8 Kp. Okay, so move on to the next question. So here he has given which compound shows the strongest C double bond O bond. C double bond O means nothing but C double bond O is a carbonyl group. So in the given option, the first option BCO6 minus. So the oxidation state of vanadium is equals to how much? -1. Next, in the second option, titanium carbonyl, it is 2 minus. So the oxidation state of titanium is equals to -2 because the carbonyl group have oxidation state of 0 because it is a neutral ligand. So now the third option, FeCO5. So in this, the oxidation state of iron is equals to 0. And if you go to the fourth option, MnCO6 plus the oxidation state of manganese is equals to +1. So if you can see, there the oxidation state of the central metals, vanadium -1, titanium -2, iron 0, and manganese +1. So in these all the four, you can see manganese is having the positive oxidation state and the others are remaining having 0 or negative oxidation state. So means manganese having negative oxidation means it is electron deficient. So whenever a central metal is electron deficient, then what happens? Nothing but back bonding will take place. What is back bonding called as? We will also call back bonding as synergic bond. So remember one thing, that whenever back bonding takes place, then the strength of metal and the carbonyl group will be weakest. Means nothing but the bond between the metal and the carbonyl group will be weak. So if suppose the bond between the metal and the carbonyl group is weak, then the bond between the carbon and oxygen will be strong. So in our given option, you can see that he is asking about the strongest CO bond. So since manganese is having positive oxidation state, means less electron, so that's why manganese hexacarbonyl will form nothing but our strongest CO bond. Okay, so moving on to the next question. So the mechanism action of terfenadine. So terfenadine is nothing but a class of drug which comes under the Seldane class of drugs. So this Seldane class, what is the work of this Seldane? What is the work of this terfenadine? So generally, if you can see the structure, this is the structure of the terfenadine. So terfenadine is a antihistamine. So antihistamine, generally it will inhibit the H1 virus. So means nothing but, so what you can say that terfenadine is nothing but what it is had inhibits the secretion of histamine in our body. So our option is B option. So the next, we will go to the next question. So here what he have written, what he have given, that which one will require minimum equivalent of acidified K2Cr2O7 for complete reaction. So generally K2Cr2O7, which type of agent, first of all we have to know. So K2Cr2O7 is an oxidizing agent. Okay, so first of all let's see about FeSO4. So in FeSO4, the oxidation state of iron is +2, so it will form +3 oxidation. So what is the equivalent? So equivalent of FeSO4 is equals to, here already given 0.1 mole, so 0.1 into the change in oxidation state, you can see the +2 to +3, so 0.1 into 1, nothing but we can write as 0.1. Next, for SO2, so for SO2 it will convert to SO4 2 minus. So here the oxidation state of sulfur is +4 and here it is +6. So the equivalent of SO2 is equals to, he has given already 0.1 mole, so we can write 0.1 into, but the change in oxidations, you can see the +4 to +6 means the change is 2, so we can write 0.2. Next, for H2S converts to S. So here the oxidation state of sulfur is -2 and here the oxidation state of sulfur is 0. So equivalent of H2S is equals to, here is given 0.1 mole, so 0.1 into the change in oxidation state is -2 to 0 means 2, that is also 0.2. So you can see here what is asking, which one will require minimum equivalent of acidified K2Cr2O7. So in these three, you can see that FeSO4 is having minimum equivalent, so around 0.1 mole of FeSO4. Okay, so moving on to the next question. So here see, it is nothing but a conceptual question from the hydrogen. So water sample has ppm level concentration of the following, as he has given metals: iron as 0.2, manganese as 5.0, copper as 3.0, zinc as 0.5. So generally the permissible values of metals, in drinking water is, iron should be 0.2%, manganese should be 0.05%, ppm, copper should be 3.0 ppm and zinc should be 0.5 ppm. So here you can see in the question he has given iron as 0.2, iron as 0.2, okay, no problem. The manganese he has given as 5.0 ppm, but the permissible amount is 0.05 ppm. Copper is 3.0 ppm, also we have 3.0 ppm. Zinc as 0.5 ppm, also we have 0.5 ppm. So here manganese is nothing but, here it is having in greater amount, so our answer is manganese. So moving on to the next question. The components of a mixture of ortho and para hydroxybenzoic acid can be separated by. So first of all, the orthobenzoic acid, COOH, and this is OH. This is hydroxy group is ortho position, though that's why we are calling it as orthobenzoic acid. And here it is COOH, OH. So their hydroxy group is in para position, so that's why we are calling it as parabenzoic acid. So now you can see the distance between the COOH group and OH group in ortho is less when compared to the distance between the COOH and OH group in para. So here what happens, in orthobenzoic acid, intramolecular hydrogen bonding will take place, and in parabenzoic acid, intermolecular hydrogen bonding will take place. So whenever intramolecular hydrogen bonding takes place, so there what happens, nothing but the intramolecular hydrogen bonding, the strength of intramolecular hydrogen bonding is less than the strength of intermolecular hydrogen bonding. So the strength of intramolecular hydrogen bonding is less than the strength of intermolecular hydrogen bonding. So that means we can say that the ortho hydroxybenzoic acid, I is easily volatile and can be distilled first. So easily volatile means and can be distilled, so it will be distilled in presence of the steam. So that's why what we are calling it as the two components can be separated by steam distillation method. Okay, next question. So the major product in the following reaction. So here he has given some reactant and he is asking to hydrolyze in presence of acid and heat. So what is the product in the reaction? Generally, in presence of acid, the cyclic ring will undergo cyclic expansion. So this 5-membered ring will form a 6-membered ring. So let's see how. So here we are having the reactant as CH3, CH double bond CH2. So let's see the mechanism first of all. So from the H3O plus we can have the H plus. Now what happens? This double bond is there, so the electron will shift towards the CH2 and this H plus will attack on this carbon. So forming of CH3, CH plus, CH3. Now this hydrogen is there, what happens? Nothing but it will react with this bond will break and this hydrogen will attach on this CH plus, undergoes ring expansion to form CH3, and here CH3, and here positive charge will be there. So you can see here one hydrogen is there. This hydrogen will left out from the reactant, forming our compound as CH3. Here CH3. Since H plus is leaving, here negative charge formation will be there. So this negative and positive will form a double bond. So our answer is this one. So our option is nothing but the third option, you can see. Okay. So moving on to the next question. So here what he has given. So 0.002 molar solution of NaCl having degree of dissociation of 90% at 27 degrees centigrade has osmotic pressure equal to. So first of all, he has given degree of dissociation, he is taken as NaCl, and we all know that NaCl is an electrolyte. So for NaCl we have to find the Van 't Hoff factor. So what is the Van 't Hoff factor here? Generally degree of dissociation alpha is equals to, since it is an NaCl, it will undergo association, so dissociation, that's why we are having alpha is equals to I minus 1 by N minus 1. So alpha already has given 90%, means we can write 0.9 is equals to I minus 1 by, what is the value of N in NaCl? Because NaCl dissociates as Na plus and Cl minus. So N value is nothing but 2 ions of formation, so 2 minus 1. So we can write I minus 1 is equals to 0.9 or I is equals to 1.9. Okay. So what he is asking about the osmotic pressure first of all. So for osmotic pressure, pi is equals to, we can write ICRT. So what is the value of I? Already we have found I value as 1.9. So 1.9 into, what is the concentration? Concentration he is given as 0.02. So 0.002 into the value of R 0.0821, and temperature he has given as 27 degrees centigrade, means we can write as 300 Kelvin. So solving this, so for solving this, we will get the value is equals to, the pi value is equals to 0.094 bar. So our answer is third option. Okay. So moving on to the next question. So which of the following statements are correct? Which of the following statements are correct? So here the first one, if you can see, the energy of light is inversely proportional to its wavelength. means we are having formula as E is equals to hc by lambda. We know that. So from this we can write, since h is a Planck's constant and c is the velocity of light, so both are constant, means we can write E proportional to 1 by lambda, means E is inversely proportional to lambda. The second one is electrons behave as both waves and particles. Yes, we know that because according to the de Broglie, electrons behave as wave nature, and according to Bohr, electron behave as particle nature. According to the Schrodinger's wave equation, we know that the electron can behave both as a particle nature and as well as wave nature. The third one, the typical atom can emit only certain types of energy is excited. Yes, because atoms can absorb only specific amounts of energy, only certain wavelengths of light will be absorbed. So that's why what happens, nothing but typical atom can emit only certain types of energy when it is excited. Next, infrared radiations have higher energy than gamma rays. No, it is not right, because gamma rays will have greater energy than the infrared. So gamma rays having higher energy than the infrared. So in our options you can see the first, second and third are correct, and the fourth one is wrong. So we are option having the first option where 1, 2, 3 is there. Next, the critical pressure PC and the critical temperature Tc for a gas obeying van der Waals equation are 80 atm and 87, means critical pressure is 80 atm, critical temperature is 87 degrees centigrade. So molar mass he has given as 130 gram per mole. So we are asking that the compressibility factor for the above gases will be smaller than unity under the following, means he is asking for which of the condition in the given option that Z will be less than 1. So for Z should be less than 1 means we should find first of all the Boyle's temperature. So TB is equals to 27 by 8 into Tc. So this is the critical temperature. So critical temperature he has given as 27 by 8 into Tc is nothing but our 87 degrees centigrade. So 87 degrees centigrade in terms of Kelvin will be 273 plus 87 means that is equal to 360. So we can write TB is equal to 27 by 8 into 360, and that will be equals to 1215 Kelvin, or in terms of degree centigrade will be equals to 942 degrees centigrade. Means at TB, or we can say that at TB less than 972 degrees centigrade, Z will be less than 1. So here in the given options you can see that in the first option the pressure is 1 atmosphere and the temperature you can see as 800 degrees centigrade. Remaining options you all can see is greater than 942 degrees centigrade. Only the first option is less than 942 degrees centigrade. So our answer is the first option. Next, which of the following undergoes diazotization most readily? So to undergo diazotization, the density of electrons on nitrogen should be maximum. Now in the first option you can see NH2 means it is an aniline. So in aniline here it is NH2 is a plus I group. Next here it is a plus I group and the nitro group is a minus I group. This is a plus I group and this is a minus I group. This one NH2 is a plus I group and this OCH3 is a plus M group. One thing we have to remember that whenever mesomeric effect and inductive effect both takes place in a molecule, whenever mesomeric effect and inductive effect both takes place simultaneously in a molecule, then mesomeric effect predominance. Means here you can see it is a plus M group, means plus M group means it will give the electron towards the nitrogen. Since this is a minus I group, now chlorine is a minus I group, it will take the electron towards itself, and this is a minus I group NO2, it will also take the electron density from nitrogen towards itself, and it is only a plus I group. So no, so here if you come to the fourth option, since OCH3 is a plus I group, what happens? Nothing but, so it will give the electron towards the NH2, so the density of electrons on the nitrogen will increase. So that's why what happens? Nothing but this will undergo diazotization. Is our answer is our fourth option. Now, so which one of the following hexachlorocyclohexane, it is one of the previous IIT bit, so just listen clearly. So which one of the following hexachlorocyclohexane is least reactive, and which one is the most reactive in E2 reaction? So what do you mean by E2 reaction? E2 is nothing but elimination bimolecular reaction. So what is that elimination bimolecular? We will see afterwards. So reactions with a strong base for dehydrohalogenation. So remember that there are two types of elimination are there, E1 and E2. E2 will take place in presence of weak base, and E2 will take place, E1 will take place in presence of weak base, and E2 will take place in presence of strong base. So in presence of a strong base, E2 elimination taking place. Now you can see in the structures here all the chlorine means chlorine is nothing but here is a leaving group, because he is asking for dehydrohalogenation, means nothing but HCl will be removed. So here chlorine, and here you can see it is a below the plane and it is above the plane. Here all the chlorines are below the plane, and here you can see this is below the plane, this is also below the plane. So is asking for the most reactive. So most reactive are those in which the hydrogen and the leaving group should be in antiposition. Okay, so the most reactant will be that species where the hydrogen and chlorine will be in antiposition. So here, since all the chlorines are below the plane, so here what happens? Here the hydrogen and chlorine will be in antiposition. So that's why the one is the most reactive. And coming to the two, the second one, you can see that one chlorine is in what is that? Below the plane, and the other chlorine is in above the plane, means here the hydrogen and the leaving group are not in antiposition. So for undergoing E2 elimination, the two atoms which are the two groups or two atoms which are eliminated should be in antiposition. So here hydrogen and the leaving group are not in antiposition, so it will be the least reactive. So our answer is the second option. 2 is least and 1 is most. Okay. Next, among the following species with the bond angle less than 109 degrees 28 minutes. First of all, BF3. So the hybridization of BF3 is sp2 and the bond angle is 120 degrees. Next, C2H2, acetylene molecule, the hybridization is sp and the bond angle is 180 degrees. Next, if you go to BOH4 minus, so here the hybridization is sp3 and the bond angle is 109 degrees 28 minutes. And next is PH3. The PH3 hybridization is also sp3, but it is having one lone pair of electron. So for that lone pair of electron, what happens? The hybridization is reduced to 107 degrees 28 minutes. So in the question he is asking with bond angle less than 109 degrees 28 minutes. So here you can see in total the four options, you can see PH3 is having bond angle less than 109 degrees 28 minutes. Okay, so our answer is fourth option. Okay, then moving on to the next question. Which of the possible product for the following reaction is? So he has given one reactant and is asking what is the product. So first of all, whenever an organic reactions comes into place, just see that what is the reagent. So here the reagent is lithium, aluminium hydride, or it is also short form, it is known as LAH. So lithium aluminium hydride is a strong reducing agent. So let's see what is the reactant. So we have reacted as CH3, C double bond O, C, CH3, CH3, C double bond O, CH3. So in presence of lithium aluminium hydride, what happens? Nothing but here the carbonyl group in the two positions will get reduced to alcohol. Nothing but you will get the answer as like this: CH3, CHOH, C, CH3, CH3, CHOH, CH3 plus CH3, COH, H, C, CH3, CH3, COH, HCH3. So here what happens? Nothing but on the second carbon you can see the positions of the HN, nothing but the positions of the H and OH in the space is different. So these both are nothing but our or you can say optical isomers. But not they are optical isomers, but not their mirror images to each other. Okay, so you will get this product. So in our options you can see the second option and third option means nothing but we will get both B and C. Okay, so next, moving on to the next one, the one that is not suitable for the removal of permanent hardness of water. So first of all, what do you mean by hard water? So hard water means nothing but which does not give lather with soap. So soft water is nothing but soft water will give lather with soap, but the hard water will does not give lather with the soap. So the presence of magnesium ions or calcium ions, calcium salts, the water will be hard in nature. So generally two types of hardness are there: temporary hardness and permanent hardness. So temporary hardness can be removed by just by boiling of the water or by the Clark's method. So here he is asking that not suitable for the removal of permanent hardness of water. So here you can see in the options the treatment with sodium bicarbonate, it is nothing but a method used for removing permanent hardness of water, and the Kalgan's method also it is used for removal of permanent hardness of water, and the ion exchange method is used for removal of permanent hardness of water. But here there is the Clark's method which is not used for remove permanent hardness of water but is used to remove the temporary hardness of water. Okay, so next, going to move to the next question. Okay, so first of all read the question very clearly. What is that? A crystal is made up of metal ions M1 and M2 and oxide ions. So oxide ions form a CCP lattice structure, means cubic close packing. CCP is known as cubic close packing, and the other name of FCC. CCP is also known as FCC, which is called as face centered cubic. So next, moving to the question, the cation M1 occupies 50% of the octahedral voids and the cation M2 occupies 12.5% of the tetrahedral voids of oxide lattice. So what is the oxidation number of M1 and M2 is asking. So in FCC or in CCP, the number of atoms per unit cell is equals to 4. Okay, means nothing but the oxide ions are in 4 in number. So we can write the oxide ions are 4 in number. So next, what he is saying that M1 occupies 50% of octahedral voids. So octahedral void is nothing but equals to the number of atoms. Suppose n number of atoms are there, n number of atoms are there, then octahedral voids will be equals to n, and the number of tetrahedral voids will be equals to 2n. So he is saying that the cation M1 is occupying 50% of the octahedral voids, means nothing but the number of atoms of M1 will be equals to 50% of 50 by 100 into 4, nothing but will be equals to when I am doing this, nothing but equals to 2. So number of M1 is equals to 2, number of M2 is equals to, so he is saying that 12.5% of tetrahedral means 12.5 by 100 into, so number of tetrahedral voids is nothing but equal to n, so 2 into 4 nothing but equals to 8, that is equals to 1. So we can write the formula as M12 into M21 into O4. So neutralizing the charges we will write as 2x plus y minus 8 is equals to 0, means we can write 2x plus y is equals to 8. So from the given options we can see that x value 2 and the y value 1, none of the other options will satisfy the x and y value, so nothing but here only the first option will satisfy, so nothing but we can write 2 into 2 plus 4, that is equals to 8. So our answer is nothing but for first option. So this is the question, like we have to check the options but not the answer. Okay, next, among the statements from the 4 statements here given, the correct ones are, so he is saying that beryllium has smaller atomic radius compared to magnesium. Yes, we know, because beryllium and magnesium belongs to the same group. So since same group, down the group we know that atomic size decreases, atomic radius decreases, means nothing but the size of the beryllium will be less than the size of the magnesium. Next, beryllium has higher ionization enthalpy than aluminium. If you can see the the electronic configuration of beryllium is 1s2 2s2, and the electronic configuration of aluminium is 1s2 2s2 2p6 3s2 3p1. So here in 3p orbital 1 electron is there, and you can see the s subshell of beryllium is fully filled. So that's why to remove the electron will be from beryllium will be more difficult when compared to aluminium. So that's why in terms of ionization energy, the ionization energy of beryllium is greater than the ionization energy of aluminium. Next, the charge by radius ratio of beryllium is greater than that of aluminium. No, because of what is that diagonal relationship, or we can say that diagonal relationship is present between beryllium and aluminium. So because of this diagonal relationship, the charge by radius of beryllium will be equal to the charge of aluminium, means nothing but we can say that the charge by radius ratio of beryllium is same than that of aluminium. Next, the fourth statement, both beryllium and aluminium form mainly covalent compounds. Yes, so here again the diagonal relationship, again the use of diagonal relationship, what happens, nothing but since beryllium is having the similar property to aluminium, so since aluminium is forming covalent compound, so beryllium will also form the covalent compound. So in the 4 statements you can see that yes, beryllium is smaller atomic radius, yes, beryllium higher ionization enthalpy, but the beryllium charge by radius ratio is equals to beryllium, and both beryllium and aluminium can form mainly covalent. So our answer is 1, 2 and 4. So it is the first option you can see. Next, zinc rod is dipped in a solution of 1 molar ZnSO4 solution which is 95% dissociated at 298 Kelvin. Find the reduction potential of the electrode. So how to find the reduction potential means nothing but according to the Nernst equation we have E of Zn2 plus by Zn is equals to the standard reduction potential of zinc E naught by Zn2 plus by Zn minus 0.059 by 2 into log of 1 by concentration of Zn2 plus. So first of all, what is the concentration of Zn2 plus? So in the question he has given that 95% dissociation is taking place and the solution is 1 molar. So what is the remaining concentration is nothing but 95 by 100 into 1 molar. 1 molar, okay, 1 molar. So nothing but that is equals, we can write as 0.95. And in the question he has given the stand reduction potential as minus 0.76. So E naught of Zn2 plus by Zn is equals to minus 0.76. So using this formula we can find. So what is the reduction potential? E of Zn2 plus by Zn is equals to minus 0.76 minus 0.059 by 2 into log of 1 by 0.95. So that is, we can write minus 0.76 minus 0.059 by 2. This one we can write as log of 1 minus log of 0.95. Okay, so using this you can calculate, after calculation you will find the answer as minus 0.7606. okay. Next, boron and silicon of very high purity can be obtained through. Remember that silicon is a semiconductor and boron can also be used as semiconductor. So the ultra pure semiconductors or very high purity semiconductors will always be obtained from zone refining. This is nothing but a conceptual question. You have to read and go through it. Okay, so our next question is, how many aliphatic saturated alcohols having 5 carbon atoms shows optical isomerism? So here aliphatic means open chain and saturated means only single bonds to be present between carbon and carbon. So general formula is CH3, CH2, 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 CH2OH. So this is the alcohol containing 5 carbons. So what are the possible isomers of this compound? Is CH3, CH2, CH2, CH, OH, CH3. Next we can write as CH3, CH2, CH, OH, CH2, CH3. The next one we can write as CH3, CH2, C, and CH3 1 2 3 4 5 1 CH2OH. okay. Next we can write as CH3 CHOH CH CH3 CH3. This is the other possible isomer. And next the possible isomers are CH3 C CH3H CH2 CH2 1 2 3 4 5 OH. okay. So first of all, what is asking? Showing optical isomerism. So optical isomerism, a molecule can show optical isomerism if it contains chiral carbon. So what is chiral carbon? Chiral carbon is a type of carbon in a molecule which is attached to 4 different groups or atoms. So here in the given molecule, which carbon is attached to 4 different groups? So this one here you can see no carbon is attached to 4, so this is optically inactive. Next one, here this carbon is attached to 4 different groups, so this is a chiral carbon. And here this group and this group is same, that's why it is not a chiral carbon. And here in this carbon you can see this is the first group, second group, third group, and also hydrogen will be there. So this is our chiral carbon. And here you can see this carbon, one CH3 is attached, one this branch is attached, OH and H means nothing but 4 different groups, so it is also chiral. And here you can see no carbon because this CH3 and this CH3 is same, because so it is optically inactive, means nothing but what are the optically active isomers are there? This one and this one, this one. Totally 3 optically isomers compounds can be formed by this alcohol. okay. Next, moving on to the next question. Magnesium is coordinate to nitrogen atoms in chlorophyll. The number of rings in chlorophyll. So first of all you should know the molecular formula for the structure of the chlorophyll. So this is our chlorophyll, and in this magnesium is attached to nitrogen atom. So asking what is that number of rings in chlorophyll. So what is the number of rings are there? So this is one ring, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we have you can have a doubt there, sir, these 4 rings, these are also rings. So actually these are not rings because the bonds here are not completely formed. That's why these 4 are not the rings. So our rings are nothing but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So totally 5 rings are there. So the answer for the question is 5. Okay. Next, this is a very big question. Just you have to look after the question. What is that? For the reaction 2NO plus H2 gives rise to N2O plus H2O. Value of minus dP by dt changes from 1.5 torr to 0.25 torr second inverse when pressure is changed from 360 torr to 150 torr with respect to keeping pressure of hydrogen to be constant. Next, this is the first part. Second part, if pressure is kept constant, it is observed that value of dP by dt changes from 1.6 torr to 0.8 torr with respect to pressure of hydrogen from pressure is changing from 300 torr to 150 torr. So it is asking about the order of the reaction. So what will be the order of the reaction? The first of all reaction is 2NO plus H2 gives rise to N2O plus H2O. So the rate is R is equals to, or R1 is equal to, we can write minus of the change in the product. So minus of dP by dt, and it is given as, so R1 is nothing but our, the rate is changing from 1.5 to 0.25 torr second inverse, and the pressure is changing from 360 to 150. So is asking for the order of the reaction. So let here the order be equal to x. So 1.5 by 0.2, so you can get as 6 is equals to, is 6 by 15 to the power of x. Applying log, so we can write log 6 is equals to x into log 6 minus log 15. So using applying the value of the log 6, log 3, log 2 and log 5, means log 6 we can write as log 2 plus log 3 is equals to x into, this one as log 2 plus log 3, and log 15 we can write as minus of log 5 minus log 3, because 5 into 3 is equal to 15. So applying the value of the logs, you can find the x value, and the x will be equals to 2. Okay, and next the second part is, if the pressure is kept constant, observe that value of dP by dt changes from 1.6 to 0.8 with respect to pressure of hydrogen from 300 torr to 150 torr. So here we can write R2 is equals to minus of dP by dt, that is equals to 1.6 to 0.8 and change of 300 to 150. So let the order will be equals to y. So we can write 2 is equals to 2 power y, or we can write y equals to 1. So the overall order of the reaction is equals to 2 plus 1, that is equals to 3. So our answer is 3 will be equals to 3. Okay, so moving on to next question. So this is Fe. In Fe 0.960 per 1 Avogadro number of oxide ions, x into 10 power of minus 2 Avogadro number of cation vacancies are present. So x value is, so F 0.960, we can write this one as Fe 96O 100. So let's suppose A numbers of Fe3 plus ions are there, then 96 minus A numbers of Fe2 plus ions will be there. So by neutralizing the charge, we can write as 3A plus 2 into 96 minus A is equals to 200, or we can write A is equals to 8. So for 100 oxide ions, For 100 oxide ions, 8 vacancies are there, or 8 cation vacancies are there. So for one oxide ions, how many vacancies will be there? Is nothing but 8 by 100, or we can write as 8 into 10 power of minus 2. So here what he is asking, he is asking the value of x. So x is nothing but we can write x is equals to 8. Okay. Next question. How many of the following form polymeric chains? BeCl2, AlCl3, NaHCO3, Li2, BH2, Na2CO3. So here BeCl2 will exist as beryllium dimer, nothing but. So it is the polymeric form of BeCl3. AlCl3 will exist as Al2Cl6. NaHCO3, it can also form polymeric chains. It is used in the plastic industries. Li2CO3 will not form any polymeric chain. BeH2 can also form polymeric chain like the BeCl2. And Na2CO3 will not form. So totally BeCl2, AlCl3, NaHCO3 and BeH2 will form the polymeric chains. So our answer is fourth one. Next, the number of fractions obtained on fractional distillation of all is possible photochemical monochlorinated products of the following compounds. So number of fractions obtained on fractional distillation of all is possible photochemical monochlorinated products of the following compound. So what is our compound? CH3, C, D. This is our compound. So he is saying that photochemically monochlorinated products, only monochlorinated means nothing but will react with chlorine in presence of HCl or in presence of HNu. What you will find, nothing but the first product is CH2Cl, C, D. This is our first product. The second product will be, because since it is monochlorinated, we can write as CDH chlorine and CH3. Also we can find CH3, C, D, CH2Cl plus, this is CHCl, CH3, and you can find another product as CH3, C, D, CH2, CH2Cl. So these are the 4 different products available. Now you can see all these 4 products contains chiral carbon. Here this one is a chiral carbon, this one is a chiral carbon, and here this one is a chiral carbon, and here this is a chiral carbon. So for each chiral carbon, 2 forms will be there, the D and the L forms, or we can say that the plus and the minus forms. So totally 8 products you can say are there. So these 8 products are called as diastereomers. So generally the best method for separating the diastereomers is nothing but fractional distillation. So totally how many fractions are formed is nothing but you can say that 4 pairs are there. So means totally 8 products are there. So the answer is 8. Next, in a solution of 0.010 molar barium nitrate and 0.010 molar lead nitrate, when the more soluble fluoride other than NaF, remember this thing, other than Na, because NaF is a strong electrolyte, it will dissociate completely. So other than NaF begins to precipitate, the concentration of the cation for the less soluble fluoride that remains in solution when NaF is added. So after the addition of NaF, the concentration of the cation becomes A into 10 power of minus B. So what is the value of B? So first of all, for BAF2, and write KSP is equals to concentration of BA2 is given as 0.010. So 0.01 into fluoride ion concentration we don't know. So BF minus square. KSP value is given as 1.5 into 10 power of minus 6 is equals to 0.01 into concentration of F minus square, or we can write concentration of F minus square is equals to 1.5 into 10 power of minus 4, or concentration of F minus we can write is equals to, it will be equals to 1.2 into 10 power of minus 2. Next, for PbF2, we can write Ksp is equals to concentration of Pb2 plus into concentration of F minus square, and Ksp is given PbF2 as 4.0 into 10 power of minus 8, that is equal to concentration Pb2 plus, and the question is given as 0.01 into F minus whole square. So we can write F minus square is equals to 4 into 10 power of minus 6, or we can write F minus is equals to 2 into 10 power of minus 3. You can see in the concentration, the F minus concentration in Ba2 plus is 1.2 into 10 power of minus 2, and in PbF2 is 2 into 10 power of minus 3, means nothing but the concentration of fluoride ions in PbF2 is less than the concentration of fluoride ion in barium fluoride. So that's why PbF2 will precipitate first. So what is the Ksp of PbF2 now? So Ksp is equals to, we can write concentration of Pb2 plus into concentration of F minus square. So Ksp already he is given as 4.0 into 10 power of minus 8, that is equals to, we don't know the concentration of Pb2 plus, and F minus we know that, what is that? 1.2 into 10 power of minus 2 whole square. So giving all that, we can find the answer as, for the concentration of Pb2 plus is equals to 2.8 into 10 power of minus 4. So molar. So this is our answer. So what he has given in the question, that A, what is that? A into 10 power of minus 8 means our B value is, what is that? 4. So B is equals to 4. Next, when 400 ml of 0.2 molar acetic acid is mixed with 80 ml of 0.5 molar NaOH solution, so 4.416 kilojoules of heat is liberated. So he is asking the amount of heat utilized for complete dissociation of acetic acid is given as 0.3 into Y. He is asking what is the value of Y now. So first of all, you have to calculate the equivalent of neutralization of acid, that is equal to, always given 80 ml, means nothing but 80 by 1000. So when 80 by 100 80 by 1000 equivalents are there, then 4.416 kilojoules of heat is liberated. So what happens when one equivalent is there? So when one equivalent, 4.416 by 80 into 100, that is equals to 55.2 kilojoules. So generally when acetic acid is neutralized with our sodium hydroxide, then the heat of ionization or the heat of ionization of acetic acid is equals to 57.6 joules. So nothing but 57.6 minus 57.6 minus 55.2, that is equals to our plus 2.1 kilojoules per mole. So we can write 2.1 as 0.3 into 7, means the value of Y will be equals to 7. Okay. So going to the next question. So among the species given, he has given some species, and he asking what is the total number of species which are neither oxidizing and nor reducing agent. Generally fluorine is a strong oxidizing agent. Next, F minus is a very weak reducing agent, so we can consider that F minus is neither oxidizing nor reducing agent. Next, sodium. Sodium is a metal. Alkali metals are a strong reducing agent. Next, Na plus, sodium ion. Sodium ion is neither an oxidizing nor a reducing agent. Next, MnO4 minus means KMnO4. KMnO4 already we know that is a strong oxidizing agent. Next, I minus is strong reducing agent. Next, Cl minus is neither an oxidizing nor a reducing agent. Next, cerium 4 plus is a good oxidizing agent. Next, dichromate, or we can say that potassium dichromate, we are using it as oxidizing agent. And this one is chromate is also an oxidizing agent. And here it is nitric acid HNO3. Nitric acid is a good oxidizing agent. Fe2 plus, it is a good iron, nothing but it is a good reducing agent. So here, what is the total number of species which are neither oxidizing nor reducing agent is nothing but equals to 3. So moving on to the next question. S2O3 2 minus has two types of sulfur. What is the difference in the oxidation states of two types of sulfur? So first of all, S2O3 2 minus, you should know the structure of S2O3 2 minus. That is S double bond S, O minus, double bond O. Okay. So here this sulfur is attached to only sulfur, that's why the oxidation state is -2. And this sulfur is attached to two oxide ions and one oxygen, means the oxidation state will be +6. So what is asking? Difference in the oxidation state, means nothing but difference is equals to 6 minus 2, that is equals to 4. So our answer is 4. So this is our session. Thank you very much.